Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Jerry. What's up,
going
man?
on? How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great. Thank you for taking the time again.
Always,
Appreciate
brother.
it.
Always.
Definitely.
So
How you been, man?
I've been good, brother. Been good. Grinding. You know how it is. You got to grind.
Yeah, you've had a lot of things going on lately, though.
It's been a crazy few years, brother, and it gets to showing you who your true brothers are and who you actually can trust with.
100%, especially when you're dealing with something physical.
Well, that's exactly it. And you start figuring out who you can. Everybody wants to tell you your brother when you're up. When you're down is when you figure out who truly is your brother.
100%.
So how you been? Doing good?
I've been good, man. Wrote a script. I'm working on getting it, out there and getting the equipment together. I'm getting ready to start filming.
That's the most, I'm telling you, just getting all the right equipment's expensive as shit.
It is insane.
It's an investment, brother. It's an investment.
It is into my future too.
There you go. There you go.
Hopefully I get Pee-wee's ass out here so I can get him on the movie.
That's a good time to get him when you see him on a movie. He's funnier than hell.
Yeah, I met Pee-wee finally, man. I got to meet him.
He told me he came out.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a super good cat. That right there, I nothing but respect for that man.
Definitely. I could see why he was in a leadership position, and people really, even to this day, there's Hell's Angels that still talk about him. He's like well known in a lot of circles.
Oh yeah, no, he was definitely a big figure, an icon figure.
Were you around when J. Doppkins was?
Yeah, brother, I was in Vegas with Pee-wee when it happened.
Did you ever come across J. Doppkins?
Yes, he came up with the Arizona chapter to Vegas twice.
What did you think about him when you seen him?
I thought he was a punk the day I seen him. Wanted to act like another tough guy and always trying to try to plan himself into conversations, plan himself into circles. You already knew there was something wrong with that dude. But they all loved him because he was giving them free. And they all thought he was a baller and free and free guns and all this bullshit. Okay, you didn't even know the cat. No, but who researched him? Who backed the background on him? Come on,
That's what the cops do. They feed people money to get them.
That's exactly what they did. That's how he got basically bought his patch to get in the chapter because, he bought his way in. They can say it any way they want to say it, but that's what happened. That's why the case didn't go nowhere. How can you sit next to me, do some illegal shit, and then charge me, but you don't get charged? Come on now. Yeah. It doesn't work that way.
He never got a full patch.
No, he never got a full patch. He wanted to say he did or whatever, but he never got a full patch.
Yeah, they laid a member's patch on him. He did this big roll about it. I've had him on the show.
Yeah, to me, he's still a punk.
He's a cop. He was never a biker. He was never a biker.
No, he was a straight federal agent. That was the end of the day. And I get it. He was doing his job. But at the same time, how was you doing your job when you're sitting there doing drugs, illegal drugs, spun out of your mind, and then you want to act like it didn't happen? That's why the case. I'm telling you, that case was from the start because he was always on. So
same thing happened with Ken Croak, but his case stuck kind of. But with the pagans, he was out doing cheating on his wife, being a total dirtbag.
Yep.
And then he goes and writes a book. What do you know?
Exactly. Just like down here in Texas, when I was talking to there was some when I was in the club, I was sitting there at the bar, and there was a law enforcement club that came in, and one of the guys was acting like he was all tough, and it says right on the back of his patch has an LE. Yeah, I know what LE stands for. It's law enforcement. No problem. You do your thing. So he's sitting there running his mouth and whatnot, and I told him, I said, brother, I have nothing to say to you, have a good evening. So I'm just sitting there chilling, and he's still running his lip like he's special. And as soon as he cracked that Bud Light and took that first sip, I told him, I said, you run your mouth one more time. I said, me and you are going to fight. He goes, oh, I'm a cop. I said, you was till you drank that beer. I said, now you can take that gun and shove it right up your ass. I said, because now you're on alcohol. I said, so you want to fight, let's get it on. If not, take your ass to the other side of the bar and shut the fuck up.
Did you have your patch on at the time?
Yeah. It's the truth. You know, just because you're law enforcement, now you want to be a biker off duty, but then you want to be a cop because I'm going to punch you in the mouth. Well, too bad. Which one do you want to do? You want to be an outlaw biker or you want to be a cop? You put on a 3-piece patch, you become an outlaw.
Yeah. And they
Yeah,
should treat them cop bikers the same way they do
there's no different.
outlaw bikers. Yeah.
Just because you're LE, if you're running a 3-piece patch and you want to classify that as an outlaw, then you're an outlaw. Or get yourself a 1-piece patch and call yourself a mom and pop club.
Yeah.
But you know, it's not a Halloween costume. Don't be a punk. You want to be an outlaw, then be an outlaw. If you want to be a cop, then put on your little badge and your baton and your spray bottle and go be a cop.
In your handcuffs.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? You want to do your thing, that's your business. But you can't play both. You know, you can't do both. It's just not going to work. But
yeah, they want to be a biker on the weekend and then arrest people during the week.
Well, that's just it, you know. And you got the same problem right now with some religious clubs. I have no problem with Christian clubs. Cool, I'm cool with all of them. But then all of a sudden, half those guys want to be a badass because at one point in their life, now they found God. Okay, well, you can't play both. It just doesn't. Either be an outlaw or be a citizen, but you can't be both.
Oh, trying to be like a badass while you're in a Christian club?
Yeah, exactly. That's what you see now. Now they want to run 3-piece patch Christian clubs. I'm going, come on. What is the deal? At the end of the day, if you're running a 3-piece, just like you know, it is truly an outlaw standard. Doesn't make you a 1%er, but it makes you an outlaw. You know, but anymore, I couldn't even tell you how many people can we sit there right now, club wise. It used to be what, maybe 6, 7 top 1% outlaw bikers clubs.
Yeah,
I see so many 1% patches on clubs I've never even heard of. That's ridiculous. It's like everybody went and bought a 1% patch and slapped it on, not understanding what it means.
Do you agree with that everyone should get a 1% patch that's in the club, or should only certain people get that patch?
I think you should earn it. You know, I think you should understand what it is, and every patch you put on you, you should earn or be gifted to you, not bought. You shouldn't have to be able to walk over to the booth. I'm going to buy that fancy patch right there and slap it on. Every patch that's on your cut, you should earn, no matter what club you're in, mom and pop, to all the way to 1%ers. If you're wearing something, I don't care if it's the 666, I don't care if it's the Filthy Few, I don't care if it's No Mercy, I don't give a shit what club it is. Whatever the little patch means, you should earn everything you get. That's how I feel, you know, because every one of them has a meaning. Well, if it has a meaning, then you should have done it. So put in the work if you're gonna win that patch.
Does everyone get a 1% diamond when they're in the Bandidos?
They do it after they patch out.
So once they get their full patch, they get a diamond.
They get a diamond.
Do you think everyone deserves a diamond that's in the club?
I don't think so. I think there's a lot of people who don't deserve it. I think a lot of people don't even understand what it means. You know, I don't think a lot of people don't understand the history. You know, go sit with some of these old members that's been members for 40, 50 years. Go sit down and spend some time with them. Actually learn what you're getting into. You know, but most people, I can tell you now, if you went to Bandidos, Mongols, Hells Angels, Vagos, Outlaws, and actually sat down with them, I guarantee you, half of the members could not tell you the history of the club. Couldn't tell you what the colors mean. Couldn't tell you who started it, why he no longer is in the club, what happened. None of that. You should know the entire history of your club, and I guarantee you, half of them don't.
And I think I mean, my opinion really doesn't matter in the biker world, but I think people are getting patched in kind of fast these days.
Well, then that's the problem right now. They want numbers. Like I can tell you right now, I know for a fact 4 or 5 different chapters from a club got patched right on into the Mongols, and there was no process. Patch over.
Yeah, it's just patch for patch, right?
Patch for patch. Don't even know who those cats are. You never hung out with them. You don't know them. How do you know that they're even % material?
They could all be out bad from another club, right?
Exactly. You know, my whole thing is, I always thought, and it's only my thought and it's my idea, so it doesn't mean a whole lot either, that you should have to go through a support club and then you prospect yourself in or probate in or whatever you want to do to become a bandito for the whole year, and then you get in. But you should have to put 2 to 5 years in a support club around other banditos actually doing your as a support club. But that's how it used to be. That's how I got in. I was in the support club for 5 years, everywhere. Went everywhere with them. Went to every run with the banditos. Went to everything as a support member from a red and gold club. And then we got the chance to patch in, and then take our whole process and our journey to get your patch. Take our whole process and our journey to get your patch, but still had to get the whole thing in.
Yeah. So once you switch over, you're just a prospect in the banditos.
Yeah, that's
right?
it. Exactly. You know, basically use the support club as your baby factory for moving up. Because then you know if that dude's got a set of nuts or not. You know he's going to hold water. Is he going to do his job? Is he going to be a true brother? I'm not saying everybody's got to be a tough guy. Not everybody's got to win every fight. But is he going to be solid? I can call him. He's going to come in the middle of the night. Hey, brother, I'm broke down. Get out of bed instead of saying, oh, man, I'm my old lady and kids. You know, you just fucked on the side of the road.
That tomorrow.
Yeah. Exactly. Find out who that cat is. You know, and the more he's around, if he's around for 2 to 5 years and going to everything, you're going to get to know that person, know his family, know his kids. No, that's how I feel. You know, for me, I had to go and get a whole stack of signatures of presidents from chapters that I went to their meetings while I was to get my San Antonio. I spent 3 weeks there going to all the different chapters because there's about 15 of them. Then I went to Austin. Then I went up to Dallas. Then I went out to state Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Nevada. I went to all of them, South Dakota, and had to get all my signatures before I could get my.
So you got to meet all of them,
all the presidents. I had to go and sit with them, talk to them, get to know them, as a whole list of them. Not every chapter, but damn, but it was a load, brother. It was a load.
Did you see other people? Did you see other people getting in faster?
There were some guys that got in faster than me, or had whatever process they went through. You know, I didn't. And there were some guys that I saw them once, and then next time I seen them, they were patched. I don't. It was kind of strange to me because my deal with my president at the time told me I had to make all 5 runs, I had to make all the signatures, I had to do all this and all that before I even think about patching over, getting my patch. And I did all that. I did all the runs, did all my shit. I mean, everything I had to do to a T, but that was my journey. Everybody's journey is different. But yeah. I feel that's how you get to know, do they actually want it? Do they actually understand it? You know, just like with us, once I got my patch, prospects that were coming up, I would sit down with them and I would talk to them. And the ones we had for us, I made them make sure they knew how to change the oil, make sure they checked the air pressure in bikes before we left for a run, all that. All the little, you know, I'm not saying to be a master mechanic, but know how to check the oil, know how to make sure the air pressures are good in the tires. That's your job. Make sure we're safe.
Yeah.
You know, but I think all those things, they've gotten lost in the wash. Everybody got worried about having numbers. They got worried about, oh man, look, we jumped another 150 members. Well, yeah, and out of that 150, 2 of them's worth a fuck. The other 148 ain't worth. So I'll take the 2, you hold the 148, and I'd be happy. You know, it's just.
Have you seen like some members that don't know how to ride a bike and things like that?
No, you definitely have to be able to ride to be a bandito, and that's one thing I will say. You have to be able to ride, and you have to be able to understand how to ride, and that's never an issue. But the biggest problem is they don't understand the brotherhood. They don't understand what they're getting into. It's just not joining a club. Like when I joined the club, my brothers would call and tell me, "Hey, I got a problem with my child, or I got a problem with my son. This happened." I'd be the first one on the bike on my way. You know, and you know, just like we talked before, I never understood the whole thing. If I show up at a brother's house and he's not home, it could be a brother I've known for years, and his old lady tells me to come inside and just wait for him. Nah, that I'm going up the street to the gas station. I'll let my brother know where I'm at. When he gets home, I'll be back over. You don't go sit on that man's sofa and disrespect his castle with his old lady walking around, because that's one thing it would drive me nuts. I tell the guys, don't do that. I say, because all you do is put yourself in a trick bag.
Have you seen situations where people have been messing with other people's old ladies and things?
Oh, 100%. all the time. Which and I would just straight up tell them, you're a scumbag, you're a piece of shit. Oh man, you can't talk to me. I can talk to you. I want to talk to you. Don't be a piece of shit if you don't want to be called one. But I bet that I was taught that way. I don't know any different. And I guess that's the problem is if you don't play the game, you get along, you get set to the side. And that's where the problem is right now with I think it's all clubs. I think just the narrative of being a biker isn't the same. It's not we're doing this because we want to. We're, brothers, we're going to have this group. We're going to have this, camaraderie. It's us. But anymore, all they care about is numbers and because it just doesn't make no sense to me.
And the flexing thing, we're the baddest on the block.
Yeah, exactly. But you're not the baddest on the block. Because I'm here to tell you, there's some bad motherfuckers out there that don't wear a patch. The other problem is, like with, I'll use the Mongols as a situation. They take straight up street gangs and patch them in. Some of them never even rode a motorcycle before they drive cars. Outlaws, I heard, used to do the same thing. I can tell you, as far as me being inside as a bandito, I can tell you the Bandidos never did that. That never happened.
No street gang members.
There was no street gang shit. You actually somebody had to sponsor you. Somebody had to actually speak for you to even be brought around. So that much of it, when I was in the club, stayed the same. It was just taking whole groups of, like basically a support club that just started up, say, a year ago. All of a sudden take all their members and patch them over
to full patch members.
Yeah, from as a support club. And I understood the philosophy, what they were trying to do, because they were trying to build numbers. But at the same time, if that support club was solid, you already had your numbers. They're red and gold support club. That's why their colors on their patch was reversed from what a Bandidos is. They were red and gold versus the gold and red, but they're still your support club. So they're your numbers, and there was a little more support guys than there was bandits.
Yeah, the Bandidos have a lot of support clubs out there, right?
Loads. And you could build off it. When I was in the support club, we tried to make it where we could kind of have an association amongst support clubs to build a defense fund, to build a fund for people getting in an accident, somebody gets sick, we can help their family, and we got shut down.
Someone goes to jail or something.
Yeah, and so and at that point, we have money set aside to help with all that. They shut us down on it. They wouldn't let us do it.
I think they probably didn't want to do that because they don't want them to get too powerful.
That's exactly what they said. What you just said is exactly what they told us.
Because then they could say, you know what, we're going to do our own thing.
Yeah, and then that's exactly what they told me. And I said, I understand your philosophy on it, but you also look at my side of it. If we got 4,500 support members across the United States, break that up into 3 or 4 regions, so if somebody can control that region, and we all pitch in $10 a month, I said, we'll have a defense fund like you ain't never seen.
100%.
We'll have a family. We'll have money for medical like you ain't never seen to help somebody. I said, that's where I'm looking at it from. A brother goes down. What happened? Hey, dude, he can't pay his rent, can't pay his mortgage, can't pay that. Dude, send that dude $10,000 out of the or give us the number to the mortgage company, pay his mortgage payment, pay this. No, there's a way of handling it. That's how I was looking at it. Is how do we help the guys? Now we got support guys that are tied up with the bandits in a fight like Waco. There was a lot of support guys that went to jail in Waco.
Yeah.
Well, those guys were on their own to figure out their money. Well, the support guys had their own set up association. We could have handled and helped them brothers. And at the same time had extra money to help the bandits because there's so many of us.
The support clubs pay to be support clubs for the Bandidos, right?
No, you didn't. You never had to kick up. You just had to always help out. They had a benefit going on. You'd buy chicken plates or you'd buy raffle tickets or whatever. But no, there was never. When you were support, you didn't have to kick it up. And I told them, dude, put us on a $5 for each one of us and put it in a fund, and you guys hold it. I said, well, that was my whole thing. At the end of the day, I was just trying to figure out a way that would help us. Yeah, we fought that for a while, and they shut us down. But to me, it made a lot more sense to have the finances that we needed along with the numbers. And to me, it secured the support club guys from being, kind of skittish about, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to fuck my family up. At least you could help a brother out.
The Beasts were a support club for the Bandidos at one point, weren't they?
People say that. I never saw that. And I never saw them as far as on that angle. That they were friends, but they never had they weren't support, like some actual support colors.
Yeah, I've heard people say, "Oh, they were doing stuff for the club and this and that," but
yeah, I heard the same thing out of Houston, but I couldn't. I never saw it, but they definitely were never an actual red and gold support club.
Did you ever see anybody? Because I've done a lot of interviews and I've talked to a lot of club members, and some of them are telling me about how they seen certain members stealing money from the club.
Well, I've heard that a lot, and I'm going to tell you that there's probably a lot of truth to that, because that's usually when they get jammed up. Because when I got out of the club and was put on the sideline, I was the secretary for my chapter. My books were so clean that they couldn't do shit about it. I mean, I had every time we had a meeting, I had the bank statement, ins, outs, what we spent our chapter money on, what we did for our chapter, and it was to a T. So nobody can't tell me they couldn't do it. But other times you'd show up, hey, can I see the books? Oh man, I don't have them ready. I can't find them, and now they're all running around trying to fix it. That I kept that like a clock, and anybody saying different is bullshit. Because I handled my books, the money, the bank accounts, everything. When I got put out for my situation, for the legal situation, they had all my, and there was never a question. Oh no, look, to the penny, my money was right there. Our chapter money's right here, and we did our badass. And and again, I've never heard of any other chapters doing it like we did it, but we ran it like a business. I paid, we didn't have to pay for hotel rooms, gas, anything. Our chapter covered all that, because we'd sell T-shirts, stickers, hats, all that we would sell throughout the year. And that would pay for every run. Every member didn't have to pay to go to funerals, didn't have to pay out of his pocket for his family, just so we didn't have to take from family money. We'd pull up to the gas pump, I'd slide the card, boom, boom, get the receipt, put that in the book, all that would go to, this is where we went. And you keep it like a ledger. Yeah. But that's how we ran, and it was never a problem. I'd go to the president, hey, brother, what do you want me to do here? You said you wanted the chapter to pick up one dinner. What dinner do you want us to go to? He would pick, this is where we're going, slap the card, pay it, take the receipt, put it in it. As soon as we got back in town, the next meeting we had as a chapter, all the books was opened up. Here you go. Every meeting I had wide open. Here's the bank statement. Here's our receipts. Anybody wants to question and look, because that's what happens. Money makes people funny.
So before you became the secretary, have you seen like where things are not right?
Kosher? Oh yeah. I can tell you right now, things ain't kosher. The national president got put out for it. Not the one that we have that's now. Before. That's what you got to put out for it. Money missing,
and that's just wrong. Taking money for your own personal gain from the club.
That's what I'm saying. There should be no gain to you for being in the club. You join the club. If you join the club to make money, then you're in the club for the wrong reason. And at the end of the day, you can say whatever you want. It's stealing from brothers. Any way you want to cut it. I don't care if it's 50 cents or it's 50,000. It's stealing from your brother.
Yeah, this one member I was talking to, not a bandito, but he was a member of another club. He was saying that the vice president collected a certain amount of money, and he counted the money out, so he knew how much it was.
Yeah.
He put some in his pocket and said, "Tell him we made this much money."
Oh yeah, I've heard that happen a lot. Yeah, and believe me, I've seen guys get fucked up and beat up and kicked down the road, shit like that going on. But at the end of the day, you should know it. You have your meeting every week with your chapter. You should know exactly those details. That's what the meeting's for. It's to inform everybody in our chapter what we have going on and what the nation has going on.
Yeah.
But it's like they don't understand that. They want to have a meeting so we can drink beer and check out all night. Well, I like too, but we have business to conduct before we get to that's the bottom line. But that's how I was always taught. And I'm telling you straight up right now, Pee Wee told me, this is back when I was in my 20s, do not get in the fucking club. Stay where you're at. There's no gain for you. And I didn't. That's why I never did. I was always around. I went to every party. People took me everywhere. Dude, I was in Frisco. I was in so many different places, Arizona, and always welcomed. Always haven't had a problem. He goes, the only thing you can't do is go sit at that table and listen to the politics. He goes, you're not missing nothing. He goes, there's no gain for you to put a patch on, brother. He goes, you just keep being the brother you are. And me and Pee Wee ain't never changed. Never, brother. We're talking, we're dropping back 20 plus years.
And he was right, right?
Yeah. Never. Me and that cat's done so much together, and never. I could pick the phone up right now. He'd leave his old lady at a restaurant and come to me. He'd tell us to get an Uber. and you can ask him right to his. You can ask him, and he'll tell you. That's exactly what he would say. Get a Uber. I gotta go. And get gone. But that's the only way. That's how he's always been. That's how I was taught. I don't know how to be different than that.
When you start getting involved with this club, are there any signs that you're like, damn, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing? Because I've heard about people getting their eye dotted in the Bandidos. That's a big thing, right?
Oh yeah. You fuck around and do discipline, get your eye dotted, lose a patch and you have to earn it back, go back to prospecting. We had a guy that was with us. We prospected him like 4 times. I tried to just send him down the road because he wasn't worth the fuck I'm going, dude. He learned it in 4 times. This guy. Jesus. Use your brains. But yeah, no, that's definitely one of the disciplines. That's 100% true.
And were there signs that maybe this isn't the place to be?
There was, and then there was, and it puts you in that frame of mind of, well, I'm a good brother. Let me see if I can change it. Let's try to get this back on track. Let's fix where the problems are. You just keep getting deeper. Yeah. And that's what happened to me. Basically, I was with some members, and the members ended up ratting on me, and it was a personal issue. I didn't even have a patch on when I got in trouble because I knew what not to do with my patch on, and it was a personal deal, and I dealt with it in the courts. But the reason I had to go to court was because members put the finger on me.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, their reason behind me not having a patch or taking my shit away from me was they were afraid that it was going to involve the club into a case. And my answer to that was, I thought we were outlaws.
Yeah.
I didn't know we couldn't be gangster. I thought that's how we lived. Fuck, my bad. I guess I read the wrong instruction book.
But let me ask you this, because there's a lot of talk about these are criminal organizations and they're only out to do bad in the community. Is that true?
As far as I can speak from my personal aspect, the organization part of it, no, because basically the Bandidos didn't gain anything from anything I was doing illegally. I gained, other members gained, but the actual nation never gained from what I was doing. It was my personal choice to make that move. It wasn't like I was told, hey, you need to go do this and you do that. And I've never seen nobody else ever told, you need to go do this, you need to go do that. So that as a nation, they didn't make any money. Like, you didn't kick money up to the Nationals because you sold some. You didn't kick it up to the Nationals because you sold a truckload of AK-47s. That's your business.
Yeah, like you do this big robbery, you're gonna give the members money, and it goes up like it's the mob or something.
Yeah, no, none of that. You breaking the law. You're doing it on your own, because we were told several times, don't do nothing illegal in your cut or with your shit on. That is your personal business at your personal times, but don't involve the club. We were told that many of times. Anybody say anything different is bullshit, because that's not true. As far as what I know for the Bandidos, I can say that for a fact. We never kicked it up. We never gave money up. We never were told to go, you have to go do this. You need to go do this illegal deal and bring the money back. None of that. Whatever you're doing illegal and believe me, it's like everybody else. You break the law because you're doing it for yourself. But it wasn't a gain for the Bandito Nation ever. They had nothing to do with it.
And there's been a big bust down there in Texas. I'm sure you're aware of it.
I heard about it. I don't know too much of the details on it, but I definitely think that there's a lot of fingers. There's a lot of rats, and there's a lot of guys that ain't gonna hold water. I can tell them that much right now.
No, people are saying that one of the guys that I interviewed is gonna be that guy. I'm not sure if it's 100% true, but he was talking on the internet quite a bit and still letting a lot of things out.
I heard the same thing, and I also heard that there's a couple of people that's still inside that they're trying to figure out that leaked a lot of information that they have no idea who it is. But I think there's been a lot of infiltration, and there's a lot of people that you wouldn't think have talked to the law or whatever and done it. But yeah, they definitely got some people that's not going to hold the water, brother. They're not going to go do 10, 15 years, 20 years. No, they're going to give it up, and they're going to do whatever they got to do and sing like you ain't never heard before. They might as well call him Taylor Swift.
I mean, you've seen it. National presidents from down there cooperated, and they walk free with probation. Like, how is that possible?
I'm with you. Believe me, it's the only reason that the Waco thing stayed like it did because everybody held their water. I knew 90% of those guys, support and bandits that got locked up in the Waco deal. I knew personally.
How many bandidos were involved with that? Because there was a lot of ugly men, right?
Yeah, there was 140 or 150 red and gold arrested, and I want to say, I think 40 of them were bandidos and the rest were support, something like that. But yeah, it was quite a bit, brother. And everybody support and bandito held their ground and told them, "Fuck you." Only one nomad went in on trial. And he told him to shove it up and got found not guilty.
Yeah,
that's the only one that ever got ran.
And then the whole split with the ugly men. That's the reason for the split, right?
Yep, exactly. And then nobody ever really got the truth as to why all of a sudden the split happened with the Mongols and the Bandidos. We still never figured out exactly why that happened. There was a lot of speculation, but there was never any, hey, sit us all down. Hey, this is what happened, guys. We found out this about them. We found out this, but nobody ever did that. So it left everybody wondering, and that's the problem. When you're sitting there and people are going, well, maybe, and whispering over here in this one's ear and telling this gossip ass story like we're a bunch of fucking little girls. Just tell me the truth. Hey, these stole $100,000 from the chapter we were about to put the beating on them all. They made a move and went Mongol, or whatever the situation was. But not telling nobody nothing kind of gets you a bad taste in your mouth all the way around.
What do you think about these different clubs inheriting beef from other situations?
I don't understand why they would allow it. And number one, quit getting in other people's business. If this club's got a problem with this club, let's go find a dirt lot, get your members, how many you got, and we'll get the same amount over here and get dusty. Handle the problem and be done. But they don't. They hide behind all this bullshit. And lately, I've been seeing these clubs that they got old ladies are fucking talking shit, and old ladies are acting like they're members. Come on. Snatch your old lady up and get her in line, because I don't get it. Number one, why should she even know club business? She should have no knowledge of that. But I notice it a lot, that there's a lot of women that are involved in a lot of these clubs nowadays. Not necessarily saying bandidos or Mongols or saying anything like that or specific clubs, but I've seen a shitload, especially on the internet. AT&T warriors like you ain't never seen.
It's out of control.
Way out of control, dude. And look, and I have no problem with them, but you got these black clubs. All of a sudden, they've come up and having wars with each other. What the fuck?
They just raided the Wheels of Soul motorcycle club because of a shooting.
Exactly.
And they're all facing life in prison because of their
life. But it just seems like in the last year it's gotten wild. Like these small clubs are all of a sudden thinking they're gonna jump big kid on the block. That ain't gonna happen. I be honest with you, I haven't heard a whole lot about the pagans lately. Like they gotten real quiet. So I don't know if there's laying low. I ain't heard a whole lot about the Outlaws either.
There's a lot of there's some things going on. There definitely some things. Remember the shooting that happened on the highway? The guy was shooting at the car.
Well, yeah.
Just
they're
little
doing
little things sporadic all over the
it.
country.
Yeah, but nothing. I mean, before, like right now, you can sit there and talk about Hell's Angels, Bandidos, Mongols, but the other ones, you kind of, it's like it's almost like they stepped to the back of the sideline and said, "Hey, let them, the feds or government or whatever, attack those three organizations, and we'll step to the side and see who's left."
Well, the Outlaws and the Pagans had a big thing going on down there in South Carolina or North Carolina. Allegedly, the Pagans shot up the Outlaws clubhouse and killed a member and
Yeah, I
shot
heard.
another member.
Yeah, I
I
heard
don't.
that's what I heard also, but then it gets kind of
Just
dissolved.
dies down.
Yeah, and believe me, we've had it here, dude. We had the Mongols and a Bandito shooting here, and they arrested the Mongols. Dude, it's been 4 years. There's never been a trial. You can look it up on the internet. Look at the records. Nothing. Ain't
You
nobody
just
went.
sit. You just sitting in jail still.
No, they're out. All of them. Everybody bonded out, and there's been no court case.
What?
Yeah, this was a public shooting. Yeah, you can look it up, brother. It
Now,
was
what do you
shooting.
think?
It was at a strip club.
What do you think of the Mongol situation down there in Florida?
Yeah,
With the warlocks.
that's gonna. I think that's gonna be an ugly scene. I know a lot of people downgrade the warlocks, but they got some crazy ass members. I'll give them that much. They hold their. At the end of the day, and I don't know. I haven't figured out what the gain is to all the. Is it a power deal that everybody's trying to fight right now to get to the top of the bridge? But at the end of the day, the more heat they put on themselves is more problem that they're going to open the doors up for the law. That's just the bottom line. And if you don't stop
Yeah.
just letting everybody in, who knows who you're letting in? Because at the end of the day, as well as I do, somebody in your family is probably law enforcement. Might be a fourth cousin, once removed. Who gives a? But somewhere in your family tree, there's a badge.
You're letting in the J. Dobbins right? Or
Exactly.
William, what's his name? That guy that infiltrated the Mongols.
Yeah.
Billy,
Yeah, it's Billy something.
yeah, I forgot his last
Yeah.
name.
But exactly. But you know what I'm saying? But that's kind of what, I don't see how they can see that's not going to happen that way. If you just open the doors up and you let it happen, as well as I do, Staxx, eventually you're going to let the roaches in.
I mean, that was a terrible idea for them to get involved with altercation down here at a gas station in broad daylight with their patches on.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. The bigger you put the light on yourself, the more the public's going to talk about you, and now you got other problems.
yeah.
I don't see the gain. It just doesn't make no sense to me. But it's one of those other things that still comes up. So is it just these ones that don't understand what it means, so they're just acting a fool to make themselves look good and show me, look what I did? I don't know.
It's a lose-lose situation for everyone involved.
For everyone, for both sides. I don't get okay. Maybe you lost a brother or whatever, but at the end of the day, now you have just as much light on your club as the ones that came and did the.
Did you see the workplace stabbing?
Yes, that's
Mongo stabbed a Hell's Angel. I have the video. Did you see the video?
I didn't see the video. It's crazy like that, and they don't understand. Back in the 96, 97, even when the Laughlin thing happened, if they wouldn't have done the Laughlin deal in the casino with all the cameras, they would have never saw shit because it wasn't like it is now. Dude, there's so many cameras, you can't do shit without being somebody filming it.
Like back in the day, a situation like that would pop off and no one would know about it.
No, you'd pop off, you'd handle business, we'd jump on the motorcycles and we're gone. That don't happen no more. There's video. Every corner's got a video. All these gas stations have cameras. You tell me one place you go that don't have cameras right now. Somewhere.
Every people's house has got them. You got one in your hand. There's a camera in your hand right now. Like
exactly. All these, and they don't understand that dude, they're getting footage. You took off down the road and made a left. Well, they're going to all those houses to try to get that license plate or try to get, it's not the same as it used to be. You can't do like that no more. But you need to think about what you're doing with your patch on What is it going to affect other people? Think about your 500-600 brothers that you just put light on.
Have you ever had a time where you didn't have your patch on and you ran across someone maybe you weren't too fond of?
Oh yeah, that
From
happened a
another
lot. That was
club?
the best. That was the best time to do it. You ain't got your colors on or anything. You're a civilian. You get busy.
Yeah, but not at work, right?
Well, you should. I wouldn't suggest doing it at work, but I guess if that's your opportunity. It's no different than when Pee Wee got jammed up at the wedding chapel.
I mean, look what happens. I mean, that was his luck of the draw, right?
Yep.
What are the chances that they're going to both be scheduled at the same time?
Exactly. And it just happened, and at the end of the day, it's on. And that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you about, like the type of man Pee Wee is. There was no hesitation. There was no, hey, we're getting it on. We're at war. We're not friends, and it was on.
I think there was any avoiding that though.
No,
because
these
guys were like they were going to get their guns, and he could have had a weapon on them.
Yeah, it was a situation, but that's what happens. That's what I'm trying to say. Before you make that move, and when you want to be in a club, understand what you're getting into, because that's what happens. Any given day, it can pop off at a McDonald's. It can pop off at the IHOP. You never know. Understand what you're putting yourself into and commit. But they don't. They just think it's fun and games, and it's just, I don't know. I don't understand the new generation, and the new generation is lazier than. I don't understand how they're going to survive. They think a 30-hour is a work week. And I'm going, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Do you think the internet is dumbing things down a little bit? Maybe.
Oh yeah, I 100%. I think all the screen time that these kids are on, and they think that shit's reality. They think that's actual life. That's not life. Eventually that money's going to dry up. You can't, no different than, look at all the girls used to do the OnlyFans. That's drying up because nobody's doing OnlyFans. It's just, I don't know. They all want to live the simple life and the free life. Keep getting a check. Well, Trump came in and cut that shit off. Like
ain't no laziness going on no more. You better gotta get your ass up.
There was a woman the other day I saw jumped on it was on Facebook and did a big ass rant that they cut her food stamps. She was getting $4,400 a month in food stamps. Who in the can qualify for that? You're getting more in food stamps than most people are making. Oh yeah.
And a lot of times it's generational. Like people are on Section 8, they hand it down to their kids, and it's over and over. That needs to stop. Like people need to get out and work. You got kids, go provide for them.
Well, and just like they got pissed off that Trump put that 20-hour a week. They got to do something, volunteer, work somewhere. You got to work 20 hours a week to qualify for any benefits. Well, it's only 20 hours. Figure it out. He's not telling you have to actually go work at McDonald's. Go down to the Boys and Girls Club. Go to your local shelter. Go to the soup kitchen. He don't give a fuck what you do, but 20 hours, you're doing something. You ain't getting no.
People are lazy, man.
It's lazy as fuck. And it's crazy, but I see it all the time. And it's just like there's no goals anymore. Like we used to set goals, I want to be here in 5 years. I want to be here in 10 years. These new youngsters have no goals, brother. Like there's no, you ask them and it's like you staring off into outer space. And I'm going, wow, you guys better figure it out because life is going to keep moving.
So I wanted to talk to you about people that put a patch on and act like they're Superman.
Yeah.
Have you seen that a lot?
Oh, it's patchitis, brothers. It happens all the time. The minute they get their patch, the whole demeanor changes, the whole attitude changes. They're not the same person anymore. And that was one thing. Like with me, I was the same guy with my patch on, with my patch off, with just plain T-shirt on, not even a bandit shirt, nothing. I was the same guy. Treated you the same, talked to you the same, acted the same. These guys, you'll be talking to them, then they go and get their cut on, all of a sudden puff the chest up, and holy shit, he became Iron Man. No. But it happens all the time, all the time. And then they want to demand respect. You don't see what this says on my patch? You don't see what position I have? I don't give a fuck. You wear the same, you put the boots on the same way I do. I don't give a fuck about that. But I'm telling you, that's how it was. That you see it all the time. It's crazy. And guys, and some guys, they honestly, it's like they turn into a different mode, I guess, or something. And the whole, even with the patch off, all of a sudden they're all cocky and they're all talking shit. And I'm going, dude, that patch is not. If that patch has to make you, you're no good. At the end of the day, you make the patch. The patch does not make you.
Were there old timers that were in the Bandidos that were getting tired of the way things are going?
Of course there was. Okay, especially because it wasn't the same era that they, for them. The technology changed. And don't get me wrong, I understand change has to happen, but at the same time, you have to remember your history. And that's why if you don't pay attention to history, then you're going to repeat the same bullshit that you shouldn't have. And that's kind of where it went. If you don't know where you came from, then how are you going to fix anything or be a better person? And the old timers would try to teach them, and they wouldn't listen. So you'd see the old timers just kind of hang out with each other and say, "Fuck it," the youngsters, they don't want to listen. And I understand sometimes you have in your group because we do stupid shit. Don't get me wrong, but you got to be able to reel them in. You can't just let it be wild, but you're going to have some wild ass cats because, at the end of the day, we're trying to dominate, but you got to do it. You got to do it right. You can't just be all crazy and talking madness and go off just being a tyrant because it's going to bite you in your ass. But I fully believe in listening to the old timers and learning from them. I think that's exactly what needs to happen.
Law enforcement labels them a gang, and the media writes these crazy stories about how dangerous they are. What do the Bandidos think about the way that the media portrays them? Are they proud of it? Are they ashamed of it?
No, I don't. To be honest with you, for the most of it, I don't think they even give it a second thought because the media is just bullshit. Half that they put out there is lies. They put a piece. They take a piece of it and spin it to whatever narrative they need, and that's kind of where they leave it. And I don't think, to be honest with you, the Bandidos I've ever talked to about it when I was in the club, just pretty much brushed it off like it was bullshit, and we never even gave it a second thought.
So how's your life been since you've been out of the club?
100% better. 100%.
Less
and
stress.
You're actually standing outside and looking on from the fence outside of the game going on, and you make yourself wonder, why did you ever allow that person to fuck you over? See how this person is now. From basically you're getting that outside perspective for yourself. You really see that there was a lot of mistrust, and it still is. There's members now that I talked to a few, and they're super good brothers, and then there's guys that now you finally see their true colors and can't believe that all you did for them and helped them and do for them, and they turn around and now you see how much they're a piece of shit. And there's a lot of them that are pieces of shit.
It took all that you went through to go to be where you're at today, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was my path, and I'm where I'm at now, and I'm grateful for where I'm at. And every day I count it as a blessing because there's so much that could have happened worse than it did, and all I can do is be thankful in it.
And you would rather be out and not dealing with the bull than in and having the treachery go on, people talking behind your back, and
oh yeah, no, 100%. And that was the whole deal about it. Once my case was over and everything, those brothers that asked me to come back, those brothers that asked me to go to the table and and explain what went on and get it fixed, and that. After seeing how many brothers turned their back on me and let me deal with my own and didn't give two shits about my family or anything else, I'm good. I don't need that.
I would have been the same way.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's exactly the way it is, Staxx. It's just it's not the same as it used to be because it wasn't like that when I first started being around this biker life. It wasn't like this, and the change has happened drastically over the last 6 years.
How long were you in the club for?
I was in the support club for me see here, 6 years, and I was a bandit for almost four.
It's a long time.
It was a long stretch, but it was over 10 years of being just around red and gold. Besides my times with Pee Wee and them in Vegas,
That's a long time.
it was a long stretch.
Your health has been declining in recent times, right? What happened with your health?
Well, I ended up herniated a couple of discs, and it destroyed the nerve pack in my hip that goes down to your leg and the sciatic nerve as well. So basically, I lost for a little over 4 months. I was paralyzed on the whole right side, and they finally got the pressure and the discs back in. So now they're just working on they need to do some shots. Got to have a surgery done to try to get all the nerves to fire to the muscles, because I can get around now, because for almost a year I couldn't even drive. My old lady had to drive me around and like as a
You couldn't even walk, right?
No, not at all. And so now, at least now I'm up and going, and I can get myself around. But until I actually fix it, it's gonna, and in any given day, you can do the same thing, and that's why I can just lose all the right side, and just you can't stand. There's no muscle. You can't feel it. It all goes numb.
What was it from? Have you been in accidents in the past, or?
Well, we've been in accidents and stuff. The doctor says is basically it's just abuse over the years to your body, and beating yourself up on rides and picking up things wrong and
beating other people up.
All that bull. He goes, and it just basically added to it, and eating, you just, keep on going and pushing yourself, eat ibuprofens, and it'll get better. He goes, all you're doing was masking the problem until it became an issue.
I know when I sit in the car too long, my sciatica nerve starts to hurt.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot to it. So hopefully here, we'll put it together, because I'm self-employed. So everything I do is out of pocket. So
yeah, so you have a GoFundMe to help you pay for your bills and stuff like that, right?
Just for this one procedure that I'm going to get done. Everything else I've been paying the last year and a half out of pocket and going every week. But this last one's a expensive deal. So
they got tattooing.
Oh yeah, we still got the shop going. The shop's doing well. So that's a blessing that takes care of the family, and that's more important than anything right now, to make sure the family's good.
You employ tattoo artists, right?
Yeah, so I have 7 artists.
That's pretty cool, man. I was watching your video the other day.
Yeah. No, the shop's cool. The shop's a real cool atmosphere. It's real mellow, real good artists. Business is it could be better, but that's economics, because you can live without a tattoo, but it'll pick up. It always 100%. Does.
It comes in waves, right?
Yes, it does, brother. Like you're on a surfboard. Just take that wave and ride it in, because the next one's it'll get better.
100%. So what's in store for the future for you?
I don't know, brother. I don't know. That's what I think about that a lot. Right now I just focus on family and making sure the future for the kids are going to be good. Health-wise, keep myself as healthy as I can, because without me, they'll be in deep shit,
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, it's focus on family and true friends. Help out the brothers that I know are there for me, and I can be there for them. Like with your show here, jump on and help you where I can help you. If it helps your podcast do an interview, badass. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Is have ourselves a circle that you can trust, and a circle that you can do things with, and everybody move up the mountain together.
100%. Anything I can do to help, man.
I appreciate you, brother. Well, brother, I gotta get my ass out. I gotta get my ass off this and get out of here. You have a blessed evening, a safe evening, and then we'll get together soon and do another one. We'll jump on with Pee Wee and everybody, and we'll do 3-4 of us at once.
Yeah, definitely. I'll share a link for your GoFundMe in the description of this video. Make sure you help them out. We'll tune in with them later. I appreciate you taking the time, man.
Thank you, brother. Much love and respect.
Definitely. If you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, too bad. Start your own podcast. Peace. Thanks, man.